Kayla was my world. She wasn't just my wife. She was my best friend, my partner in everything. We had built a beautiful life together with our 2 children, Sam, who is now 21, and Liz, 16. But 6 years ago, that life came crashing down. It was supposed to be a normal evening. Kayla was on her way home from work, probably humming along to the radio, thinking about what we'd have for dinner, but she never made it home. A drunk driver ran a red light, and just like that, she was gone. Losing her felt like having the ground ripped out from under me. The pain was unbearable, but I couldn't break. Not completely. My children had already lost their mother. They couldn't afford to lose their father, too. So I made a promise. I wouldn't even think about dating again until I was sure they were okay. 3 years later, I met Amanda. She was smart, funny, and for the first time since Kayla, I felt something close to happiness again. It took another year before I introduced her to my kids, and while they weren't overly warm, they were respectful. Things were stable. That was enough. Or so I thought. The night of the family dinner was supposed to be a celebration. My parents were throwing us an engagement party. It was a small gathering. My parents, my late wife's sister and her husband, my kids, Amanda, and me. The evening started out fine. There was laughter, small talk, and reminiscing. At one point, my mother smiled warmly at me and said, "I'm just so happy you found love again. Kayla would have wanted this for you." It was a kind sentiment, a simple, heartfelt remark. But then Amanda chuckled and said something that made the entire room freeze. "I'm glad she died. Otherwise, I would have never gotten him to myself." It felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. A cold silence fell over the table. My children, who had been chatting moments before, stiffened as though someone had physically struck them. Liz pushed back from the table without a word and walked out of the house, heading straight for the car. Sam stayed, his hands clenched, into fists, his jaw tight, waiting for me to say something, but I didn't. I was frozen, stunned. Amanda tried to laugh it off as a joke, but the damage had already been done. That night, I barely slept. Liz refused to speak to me, and Sam, though calmer, was distant. I knew I had failed them by not reacting instantly, but I needed to figure out what to do next. On the 3rd day, unable to stand the silence anymore, I asked Sam what he thought I should do. "As an adult, I don't care who another adult marries," he said, "but I don't want a woman who talks like that about our mom around my sister." His words hit me harder than a punch to the gut. That's when I realized this wasn't just about a tasteless joke. This was about who Amanda truly was and what she had been doing all along. When I finally got Liz to open up, she didn't just talk about Amanda's comment. She told me things I had been too blind to see. "She's been trying to push us away for years, Dad," Liz said. "You just didn't want to see it." She reminded me how Amanda had encouraged Sam to move out the moment he started college. She brought up how Amanda constantly hinted that Liz should go to an out-of-state school, even though Liz had always planned to stay close to home. "She doesn't want us here, Dad. She never did." I asked Sam if he had felt pressured to move. He hesitated, then admitted that Amanda had repeatedly brought it up, even before he was sure he wanted to leave. I felt sick. I had let this woman into our home, into our lives, believing she cared for my children. But she had been quietly working to separate me from them. The next morning, I sat Amanda down. My hands were steady, my voice calm, but inside, I was burning. "What you said about Kayla was unacceptable," I told her. "It hurt my kids. It hurt me. And you never even apologized." She barely reacted. "If I apologize, can we go back to normal?" she asked. I shook my head. "This isn't just about what you said at dinner. It's about how you've treated my children." Amanda's face darkened. "You mean how I tried to give you a life that wasn't controlled by them? That's when I saw it, the real her. I had no idea you expected me to spend the rest of my life housing someone else's children." I don't remember getting up. I don't remember how my voice sounded when I spoke next, but I do remember telling her to get out. She cried, begged, tried to manipulate me into staying. But I was done. By the end of the day, she was gone. In the days that followed, I changed the locks, packed up Amanda's things, and blocked her on everything. She tried to reach out a few times, but I had nothing left to say. Instead, I focused on my kids. Liz slowly started talking to me again. Sam and I had long conversations about life, college, and his plans. For the first time in a long time, my home felt like home again. Looking back now, over a year later, I realize I had loved Amanda, not for who she was, but for who I wanted her to be. I had convinced myself that she was the right person, ignoring the signs that said otherwise. And now I'm happy. Not because I found someone new, not because life is perfect, but because I made the right choice. I chose my kids, and I'd do it again. To all the parents out there, listen to your kids. Pay attention to the little things. Love is important, but your children, your family, come first. Thank you for reading. If you found this story meaningful, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more real-life stories like this.